What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video today. And today we're going to be talking about how this might be the biggest year for Xbox yet. We're going to be discussing some of the releases this year, things Xbox has said themselves, as well as some speculation of what we could see this upcoming year in 2025. So if you like the sound of that, let's get into it. So to add a little bit of context to why I think this might be the best year for Xbox, let's kind of reflect on some of the big milestones Xbox has had over the past few generations of there. So obviously everybody refers to the Xbox 360, which is still currently the biggest Xbox generation ever. I mean, it was the 9th best-selling console. It sold 84 million units, and it was pretty much neck and neck with the PS3. The PS3 kind of caught up right at the end, but it was actually beating it out, which was a huge upset at the time when you consider how successful the PlayStation 2 was. Now we go to kind of look at the current state of Xbox and its current hardware situation, which is not very good. They lost the current generation, they lost the past generation pretty badly, and losing the PS4, Xbox One generation was probably the biggest hit that could have happened for them, because that was the dawn of the digital libraries. Because now at the end of the PS4 generation, you don't necessarily have any sort of advantage of going back over to Xbox, because all that library that you built up on the PlayStation during the PS4 era, you don't want to lose all that. So you want to take that with you onto the PS5, especially with the backwards compatibility and things that they might have. And the same goes for the Xbox. Like, why would I get a PS5 if I had the Xbox One? I built this whole digital library up. So losing that generation was very crucial. If they would have not had such a bad start, kind of, isolating their audience a little bit with what they did, maybe they'd be in a better situation. But now things have changed, and they're diverting to like this Game Pass kind of path where honestly it looks like it's going to be immensely successful with them. So they're kind of playing this different game, and I think they're reviewing their success in a different way in terms of Game Pass, which they've openly said. And with the recent acquisitions of these different studios and these different IPs, and their portfolio has grown immensely. And I think this year is going to be one of the first years, we saw a little bit in 2023 after the COVID era, that they're starting to drop a bunch, and all these acquisitions are starting to come into fruition. And I believe this year you might see all those purchases of these different studios and all these different things really start to hit the market big time and help Xbox kind of hit to a level that they haven't seen in probably a very long time. So let's get into some of the games that are supposed to release this year. So the ones that's already released was Avowed. That was a big one for them, made by Obsidian Entertainment. Next is Towerborn. Then you have South of Midnight coming on later this month. Doom: The Dark Ages coming out in May. Outer Worlds this fall. Ninja Gaiden 2. Fable, which just recently, as me recording this video, has been delayed, but that was aimed for 2025. There's nothing set in stone if it actually is delayed, but all the leaks are pretty much saying that, so let's go with that. Then you have the next Call of Duty, and then I kind of want to go talk about some of the potential surprises, some of the speculative ones, which is Gears of War E-Day. I believe that one's going to drop this year. Clockwork Revolution, I think that's another one that's going to drop this year. We're going to hear a lot more details in the summer when they do their big Xbox event where they showcase everything, the Xbox Direct. So one that a lot of leaks and rumors have been coming out, but there's been no official announcement on, is the Oblivion remake, also Contraband. And then also a lot of the big DLCs for some of these games that are going to have ongoing support, whether it be Indiana Jones, Sea of Thieves, Starfield, so on and so forth. I'm sure they're aiming out to have a really big year in terms of the Xbox Game Studio. But not only just their first party releases that they're doing, obviously they want to make Game Pass really attractive for a lot of people. So one of their goals is to have a big day one release each month for Game Pass to really incentivize the value proposition that Game Pass offers. So whether that be, obviously they're going to have to fill those gaps with some of the studios that they partnered with, that you're seeing with like Revenge of the Savage Planet or countless other games that we're probably going to find out for sure more as the time goes on, especially when we get into that summer Xbox Direct. And also I think this might be the year that we see some big titles truly get transitioned over to other platforms. I know there's been a lot of talk about it. There's been some smaller titles. Sea of Thieves was a big one that's recently now going to PlayStation. Obviously, Indiana Jones is now on PlayStation. But I think we might start seeing the heavy hitters this year. I think you're going to see Halo, at least on Nintendo, maybe a PlayStation. And I'm pretty positive you're going to see Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport over there. And also continuing with some of those smaller games like South of Midnight, where they probably start off on Xbox and then a couple months down the road, or maybe next year they release on PlayStation. And that might be the way forward for them, is kind of timed exclusives like what we saw with Indiana Jones. That seems to be more of the route. I don't know if they're necessarily going to drop it all at once, but we'll see. They might take that title by title, and that's kind of what they've said. They haven't really been consistent on what's moving, what's not, what's staying, but it does seem one thing for sure is that all of it eventually at some point is going to be everywhere, because while they're going to continue to make hardware, it seems that the path forward is really starting to push themselves and elevate themselves as one of the biggest publishers in the world, if not the biggest. Another interesting news that has come out recently and that we heard out of CES is with the competition of the Steam Deck and Steam OS. Obviously, Xbox is now probably trying to prioritize their strategy and what they view as competition towards more Valve. So with the success of SteamOS and the Steam Deck, and now SteamOS going to third-party launchers, a lot of people are opting out of maybe not doing Windows handhelds and doing handhelds that have SteamOS pre-built in it. And Xbox, which to their credit, and I'm glad that they're actually listening to people, and they're going forward with trying to find some sort of way to implement that Xbox interface, that Xbox software into Windows handhelds. Now, how does that shape out? How does that work out? We'll wait to see. But according to CES and the director of Next Generation Future, some weird title like that, he basically said that expect something later this year. So hopefully we see something on that front for handhelds, because I love the idea of a Xbox handheld, because I've built up a big Xbox digital library, but I also have this Steam library. So if there's some way to intertwine those two, that'd be great. I don't know if they actually will, because it's kind of a conflict of interest, but time will tell. Now, some of the big things that might set back this year being one of the biggest ones for Xbox is the delays and trying to avoid GTA 6 at all cost. Now, everything seems to be on track with GTA 6 dropping this fall, this winter, like late this year. It doesn't seem like nothing's set in stone. I guess, so according to some leakers, there's potential of it being delayed into 2026, but it seems like Rockstar and everybody and all the developers are really aiming for this 2025 release. And I think Microsoft is kind of like, all right, we don't want to be like the same week, potentially maybe not even the same month. And a lot of people are speculating that that could be the reason why Fable is ultimately pushed to 2026, especially with their already current stacked roster that they had. It was one of the supposed main reasons why Avowed got pushed to February instead of their December release, to not compete with Indiana Jones. Who's to know how true that is? I mean, it makes sense, to be honest with you. I mean, as a consumer, it was nice. I was going to prioritize Indiana Jones over Avowed, so it did make sense in that aspect. But that's the one wild card. We'll see how that's going to shape out. I mean, Call of Duty is probably going to take a hit because of this, if it actually does. This GTA 6 is really lining up to be one of the biggest releases ever in gaming. So obviously one of the most anticipated sequels probably ever, if I had to guess. But anyways, let's move on to some of my personal expectations. I think of my potential releases that I listed below, I feel that a good amount of them are going to happen. I think the only wild cards is probably going to be Gears of War and Fable, already announced, but I kind of have that feeling. Like I said, we're going to get definite answers probably this summer at the Xbox Showcase. There is a possibility where maybe maybe like a Perfect Dark, or maybe the Clockwork Revolution gets delayed, but I'm not sure. I can imagine that they're going to want to push those out this year, depending on the progress of the development. But if they're ready to go, they're ready to go. Those are single player experiences, so I don't think they're really going to be competing. I can see one of those dropping early fall, September. I'm really excited for Clockwork Revolution myself, as being a BioShock fan. But yeah, honestly, I feel pretty confident about all the games that are releasing. I think all of them are going to be either good or decent. Obviously, I believe Doom's going to be a home run. I have this supposition that South of Midnight's going to sneak up on a lot of people and actually be pretty decent, as well as some other games that maybe not necessarily fit into my genre where I like. But I think this might be a pretty decent year in terms of not only sales and revenue for Xbox and Microsoft, but also just quality of games. So far, Avowed, from what everybody's saying, it's kind of a 7 out of 10, which isn't bad. Not everything's going to be perfect, and I expect some games not to be amazing 10 out of 10 games, but I feel like they learned from the Redfall situation, where that game was absolutely atrocious at launch. It honestly just wasn't a good game in general. I think they're going to kind of learn from that and have some pretty solid releases this year. If anything, is to kind of go based off recent history. So we shall see. What do you guys think of this year for Xbox? Are they going to have the most successful year? Are they going to have a lot of bangers? We'll see. Let me know down below. Which games are on that list are you specifically excited for? I'd be really curious. Is there some that I missed? Because there's so many, and some smaller studios, indie ones that maybe kind of flew under my radar. So let me know down below. But yeah, pretty much excited to see what's going on. And if you're interested in more content like this, following news, updates, gaming reviews, things like that, please leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.